Lucas Hayes wiped the black grease from his hands with a rag that had long since lost the battle against grime. The clang of a sputtering engine reached his ears as an old sedan limped into his cracked driveway, coughing smoke like it had a cold and didn't know how to stop. Steam hissed aggressively from under the hood, a sign of a radiator begging for mercy. Lucas stepped out from under the awning of his weather garage, just as the driver's door creaked open. The woman who stepped out looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her hair was pulled into a messy knot, her jacket hung loose off her frame, and her sneakers had holes in the soles. Her eyes wide, cautious, scanned the place like it might vanish if she blinked too long. She stepped forward, lips trembling as if the words she needed to say were heavier than her tired body. "I have no money," she whispered. Lucas looked at her shoes, then at his own wallet, which hadn't seen more than a few crumpled bills in weeks. Rent was barely covered, utilities were behind, and the few loyal customers who still brought their busted pickups to him were dwindling. But there was something in her voice, not pity, not pleading, just raw, plain honesty. He exhaled, tossing the rag over his shoulder. "I didn't ask for any," he said simply. She stared at him, as if she wasn't used to kindness, as if something inside her had been bracing for a door to slam in her face. He didn't know at the time, but that small act, that single choice to help a stranger would ripple outward and transform not just her life, but his own. Lucas Hayes had seen brighter days. His little auto repair shop on the edge of Willowbrook used to buzz with engines, laughter, and old rock songs on the radio. These days, the most consistent sound was the click of the ceiling fan above his desk and the occasional ring of a phone that usually brought bad news. The walls were lined with unpaid bills. The help wanted sign out front had been bleach pale by the sun, and nobody was asking for work anymore. But still, he opened the doors every morning, clutching stubborn hope like it was the only thing left that hadn't rusted over. That afternoon, just as the sun sank low behind the pine trees, the battered sedan hobbled into his lot. The woman stepped out, barely older than 30, her clothes hanging off her like they were borrowed from someone who had given up. She clutched her phone like a flotation device, her eyes scanning the lot. "Overheating?" Lucas asked, stepping toward the hood. She hesitated, her voice brittle. "I think so, I'm sorry. I didn't know where else to go." Lucas popped the hood, releasing a fresh wave of steam. "Radiator's toast. Lucky you didn't break down halfway here." She bit her lip. "Can you fix it?" Lucas looked up. Her eyes answered before her voice did. "I don't have the money right now," she admitted. "I was hoping maybe I could pay you later." Lucas stood there silent. Every inch of him screamed to say no. He had groceries to buy, tools to replace, creditors breathing down his neck. But his gut, the same one that had gotten him through the roughest years of his life, told him she needed more than just a mechanic. "Leave it here," he said finally. "I'll take care of it." She blinked. "Wait, seriously?" He offered a crooked smile. "I've been where you are." Tears welled in her eyes, but she wiped them away quickly. "Thank you. I promise. I'll pay you back." Lucas didn't expect to see her again. Promises like that, they usually drifted off with the exhaust fumes. But he stayed late that night, working by the flicker of a single overhead light, patching what he could, replacing the radiator with a salvaged one from the junkyard, and even installing a second-hand battery from his storeroom. By sunrise, the car was ready. She came back still in the same clothes, but with eyes that looked less afraid. When he handed her the keys, she stared at him like she couldn't quite believe he existed. "Why'd you help me?" she asked softly. He shrugged. "You looked like you needed someone to believe in you." "That's enough." She gave a shaky smile and extended her hand. "My name's Elise." "Lucas," he replied. She drove off. He figured that was the end of it. He was wrong. By sunset, his gravel lot had turned into something from a dream. Luxury cars, a black Rolls-Royce, a silver Bentley, 2 G-Wagons, a Tesla Model X rolled in one after another, like an exclusive car show had taken a wrong turn and ended up in sleepy Willowbrook. Lucas stepped outside, wiping his hands on his jeans. His heart was pounding. A man in a navy suit and designer sunglasses approached. "Lucas Hayes?" he asked. Lucas nodded slowly. "Yeah, who's asking?" The man handed him a white envelope with gold trim. Lucas opened it. Inside, in elegant black script, were the words, "You changed someone's life. Now it's your turn." Before Lucas could ask what this was, the back door of the Rolls-Royce opened, and out stepped Elise. Only it wasn't Elise. Her hair was immaculately styled. Her coat looked like it cost more than Lucas's entire tool set, and she walked like someone who had never once had to ask for permission. Lucas stared. "Elise." She smiled warmly. "My full name is Elise Whitmore. My family owns Whitmore Industries." Lucas's mouth went dry. Whitmore Industries was everywhere: tech, real estate, even fashion. Their name was on buildings in major cities across the country. "I didn't lie," she said gently. "I really had no money that day. I left everything behind: the fortune, the name. I wanted to see what people were like when there was no status, no incentive. And I found you." Lucas stood speechless. "You didn't know who I was, but you helped anyway," she continued. "And now, I want to invest in your future." A second man stepped forward, handing Lucas a thick folder. Inside were documents: a full renovation of his shop, brand new tools, a financial advisor, and a startup fund worth more than he'd made in the last 15 years. Lucas's hands trembled. "Why me?" he asked. Elise stepped closer. "Because you didn't just fix my car. You restored my faith in people. And I think the world needs more of that." That night, Lucas sat in his kitchen, staring at the folder on the table like it might vanish if he blinked. The numbers were real. The signature was real. The opportunity surreal. The next morning, he returned to the shop at sunrise. But instead of silence, he was met by a flurry of activity: architects, construction workers, electricians. A tall woman in a hard hat greeted him. "You must be Mr. Hayes," she said with a smile. "We're here to begin the transformation." "Transformation," he echoed. "Miss Whitmore is funding a total rebuild," she explained. "Solar panels, insulation, new lifts, digital diagnostics, customer lounge, everything. And she said we're keeping the old Hayes Auto sign part of the soul." Lucas nearly choked up. Elise arrived shortly after, dressed casually in jeans and a hoodie, blending in seamlessly. "I want this place to be more than just a garage," she said. "I want it to be a movement." Lucas raised an eyebrow. "I want you to lead a community initiative. Free repairs for struggling families. A mentorship program for teens. Workshops. Life skills. I'll fund everything. But you'll be the heart of it." Lucas's throat tightened. "Why me?" "Because," she said, "when no one was watching, you did the right thing." Weeks passed. The shop rose from its old bones into something gleaming and new. Locals gathered daily, whispering rumors that didn't even come close to the truth. But one thing was clear: Lucas Hayes wasn't just a mechanic anymore. He was a symbol. A teenage boy named Angel showed up one afternoon. His mother's car stalled 2 blocks away. She worked 2 jobs. Lucas sent his new tow truck free of charge. The next day, Angel returned. "Can you teach me what you do?" he asked. Lucas handed him a wrench. "Let's start with an oil change." Word spread. More teens followed. Lucas built a side garage just for them. He taught them discipline, skill, and how to believe in their own worth. Many had no fathers. Some were skipping school. But in Lucas's garage, they found purpose. Elise watched from the background, always quiet, never taking credit. "Why him?" a reporter once asked. Her answer was simple: because he chose people. 2 months later, Lucas stood on a gala stage. The same hands that once gripped sockets and bolts now held a microphone. He wore a suit awkwardly but stood tall. "I'm not a speaker," he said. "I'm a mechanic. I used to think that was all I'd ever be until a woman asked me for help. And I said yes, not because I thought I'd get anything back, but because I remembered how it felt to have nothing." He paused. Elise stood to the side, eyes locked on him. The reward wasn't the new shop. It was watching kids believe in themselves again. That's the real miracle. The crowd rose in applause. Elise joined him on stage, handing him a sleek envelope. Inside was a deed to 10 acres just outside town. A future learning center. A shelter. A training facility. It was already breaking ground. Lucas would lead it. That night, beneath the stars, Lucas sat outside holding the deed. Once this town had nearly broken him. Now, he was building something bigger than he'd ever imagined. Because kindness when done quietly and without expectation, doesn't just change lives. It builds legacies.